Welcome to the B2T show, where we empower Christian patriots with truth. This is Rick, your host.
Hi.
Glad to finally meet you. By the way, he's starting the show. I don't know if we can be heard or not.
Yeah.
All right, here we are we are on Wednesday, April 29th. We finally got Gene on. Had a few technical difficulties, but we are set. We've got Shady in the house. We got InTheMatrixxx in the house. We'll introduce those guys here in just a second. Wanted to kind of just let you guys know that we're going to be talking about irregular warfare. We're also going to be talking about the Fed. We've got a ton of subjects we'll be getting into here as we have the wonderful InTheMatrixxx and Shady Grooove. As you know, SB2 told me one time that they were two of the three most valuable anons out there, and they've been digging a lot, and I just love to see what they're finding here recently. Tell you what I'm going to do here now is just quickly go over a couple things. As you know, we got some new Q coming in, two or three new ones. We actually have a bunch of people in the house. I wanted to say hi real quick. We have the very first one was Angie Howard, Cutter Q. I think there was somebody that came on first from Wyoming, but it scrolled so much. You guys have been talking away, I can tell. Where are you guys all from? Let's just see. We got Wisconsin in the house. I see you guys are really going at it. We've already got almost 500 people in this early. It's going to be a big show, you can tell. What do we have? I'm going to go down here to see where everybody. Louisiana is in the house. Hawaii is in the house. We got Australia, New Zealand in the house. Thank you guys for all being on. I love it when we have people from all over the country, obviously. Tulsa is here, and Tennessee's here. Thank you, Missouri. All right. So we are going to actually dig into the new Q drops to start out with. But before we get into that, I wanted to show you a couple of quick things. Is number one, you probably know right here that the Flynn documents show FBI goal was to get him fired. These are bombshells, part of, I think, the slow leak D class. So we're going to dig into the Fed, the Flynn situation, the new Q post. So this is going to be quite fun. I wanted to quickly go over the sponsor for the show, and that is, you're going to go to the BePatriotKit.com. 18 tools in one case to help you survive the crisis. The recent pandemic and the coronavirus is reminding everyone on how easy things can turn from bad to worse. Shortage of guns, ammo, toilet paper, and other essentials have strained the country and have caused panic buying. The sad part is that 99% of Americans are unprepared for a catastrophic event. This doesn't have to be you. And one of the best things you can invest for your protection is the Patriot Survival Kit. Again, look at this kit. It's got 18 in one sessions. You guys will really see there's quite a lot of stuff that you would really want here. Even this ability to not run out of power, etc. This is limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance to get yours as a discount before they sell out. Take advantage of and get your family a gift of power anywhere in the world. Again, it's thepatriotkit.com, and take advantage of 50% off. And then just real quickly, just let you know, this thing's got this upgrade compass, a cold steel tactical knife for cutting, wire saw for country, wood and bone, water bottle clips. Looks like I got Rocky coming out here to visit this as well. But again, you're going to go to the patriotkit.com. I want to get that out of the way because that's the only the sponsor I'm going to talk about. I want the rest of the time to be dedicated to Matrix and Q and Gene. So let me flip to this other view, and there we are. I see Cosensi 64. How are you doing, Gene? And InTheMatrixxx and Shady. Do we have audio? I got you. We got audio on you now. All right, I got it.
We're all talking in the mute at the same time. Hey, Rick, this is Jeffrey Peterson, aka InTheMatrixxx. Good to see you, and great to be back here as well with you.
Wow, you're using the whole name now. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Well, you figure you get on, you say the word Paysur, then your whole family gets doxxed. You might be over the target.
Yeah, no question about it. Shady, how are you doing?
Hey, Rick, it's great to be back. I'm glad to see you're doing well, and I'm really happy to be back here with you and see your audience and maybe chat about some very exciting current events right now.
Yeah, quite a bit going on the Q board here over the last 3 or 4 days. That's kept you guys busy as decoders and diggers.
Yeah, we are. We're constantly bent over and trying to dig up something.
Yeah, I love it. Gene, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. I'm only like 560 emails behind now.
Only 560. All right, he's building a team to to get through all those. So,
Yep.
and then just a quick announcement. I think is it tomorrow night? You think you'll be ready for part 8? Is that still looking good, or how are you doing?
I have to get with my editor and Jo and ask him where we're at. I think so.
Okay,
I think so, but it was really weird, that piece that's missing. It shows you how adept they are at hacking you. That email I sent you with that link in it, the part that was out of there is out of the middle of that decode.
Mm-hmm.
We had the beginning and we had the end of that decode, but the part with McDill showing all the satanic symbols that you can see from the air with the hexagram, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye and all of that, that's not the end dropped off. That's out of the middle, and it was gone from in 2 emails from my 3 different.
Wow!
Gone, my dumbs was gone, and then my decoder specifically was gone, and then it was also gone from my my files.
Wow, yeah, attacks everywhere. So that'll just make part 8 that much better. 27 Sparkle, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Hey,
he's awesome. I love 27 Sparkle. And by the way, let me just say real quick, Gene, an honor to finally meet you, my friend. Been a fan for a long time, and you're doing great work, my brother. And God bless you. And my mom, Mama Matrix, out there. She's out there in chat. I try not to tell everybody who she is, but she's a big fan of you too, Gene. And she wanted me to tell you guys hello.
Thank you, Matrix. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. And it is a total pleasure to meet you, Gene.
You too, Shady. You actually met me briefly on a call-in one day.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, I called into your show and I talked to you. I mentioned seeing a train that had a bunch of airplane parts on it with a tarp over it that said Trump.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh.
way back when. That was before he was decoding.
That was before I met Rick.
How
So
cool is
awesome.
that?
Glad you stepped up in the movement, friend. Thank you.
Well, God told me to. I had no choice.
Yeah, we had
Sometimes that happens.
It happened
Yeah.
here too, friend. Yes, sir. And God bless you. And you're doing great work. Thank you.
I love it.
Both are. Rick, I mean, my gosh, Rick he's
Yeah.
been amazing. He drops into the Matrix Groove Hour as well. I can't thank him enough. It's great. We've got a lot of Q Army people out here too. Your awesome mods are out there, Rick. You've got a great team, and I'm so appreciative of you having us on again. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for the mods of Lou and Amy, and I guess Kosenchi Gene's doing double duty here, being the moderator as well as being on the show. So thank you, Amy. I appreciate you holding down the fort there as well. But hey, let's dig into this, because we could do like 3 hours with the 3 of us. That would be so fun, just to sit there and talk the whole time. But we have some serious digging to do, and we're just going to review real quickly some of the new Q posts. As you know, and I heard you guys go over this in detail, so we'll kind of come back to this one, I'm sure. But we talked about this last night on 4005, and then we ended with 4006 last night. Thanks, Sue. Appreciate that. And if you look here, it says "Be ready," and this is actually talking about this POTUS tweet that was really blunt. Just love this. Again, we reviewed this last night, but it's worth a second look when he says, "My campaign for president was conclusively spied on. Nothing like this has ever happened in American politics. A really bad situation. Treason means long jail sentence." And this was treason. And obviously this was back in May of 2019. But just the fact that Q pointed to it again means it must be about go time. The stage has been set, and here we go. So that was what we left off with at 4006. And so you guys stop me anytime, jump in. But 4007 is the newest post for today. And it's talking about a Twitter, and it says Q. And this has to do with Rod Rosenstein right here. And now this is pointing back to the in-game that they communicate. We're talking about Rod Rosenstein, etc. here, but they take a little piece of it talking about specific. Rod Rosenstein is talking crap, and he knows our friends have stuff on him. And Dooku says, "I'm hearing Mueller maybe by the end of the week." And Steven says, "Hearing that too. White House will be blindsided but put MF back in the news, most likely Michael Flynn. Can have S draw up a memo on Turkey? And S could be a variety of people. With Erdogan thugs beating protesters in streets, it fits news cycle, and I'm sure we'll need a few more memos down the road. Good practice. Now, so obviously it's talking about Rod Rosenstein and Mueller, and it shows that here we are on that very same day, May 17th, 2017, where we believe those communications in the game was happening. The Turkish president's bodyguards beat up protesters after he met with Trump, just like they said in the previous one there. Any comments on that, Matrix or Shady or Gene?
Yeah, real quick, those characters there, Severus is Severus Snapes, and they're thinking, actually I found a video and I put it on the channel.
Wow. I just had to say thank you just real quick. Little Red just donated a huge amount for a 1 terabyte external hard disk for Gene. So wow. they know Gene needs some stuff. Thank you, Hortons, as well. Appreciate you guys.
Shadow Recon is one of our guys too. He just did $99. Thank you, Shadow Recon too.
Did I miss that? I apologize. I'm going back. Oh, Shadow Recon. Thank you. Keep the decodes coming. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I've actually met him in person. What a great guy. And he's a big supporter of the Matrix Groove Hour as well. So, wow. But Severus Snapes could be Comey, possibly. I mean, that was one of the things because Colbert was talking about Comey, and he goes, wow, he wanted to save the world and rescue the world. You know, and this is the basically he was doing what Severus Snapes is. And they all laughed, but nobody knew who Severus Snapes was. But he said, Comey's Severus Snapes. He actually called him that and said, oh, well, no, he's not. So there's a lot of people in here that we're trying to figure out who is who, right? There's Dooku, there's Severus Snapes, there's Huck. Huck could actually be HC, Hillary Clinton, UK. You know, we're just thinking that could be, I mean, we don't know who everybody is now, but I do believe MF is Michael Flynn because you saw that exactly what you saw there. S could be Schiff drawing up the memo on Turkey. It could be the State Department. Right. It could be a couple of other things. Shady?
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of about where we've got it figured out that are in this Palpatine's Revenge chat logs. And for people out there that don't know, this is inside gaming chat logs on online platforms.
Yes, and this one is SCOM. So this was in the Star Wars Commander. And Shady, you found an interesting meme on the Brilliant Anon board. What did you find there, Shady?
Well, the one Anon was pointing to the Star Wars Command, which would be SWC, and that lines up to Silent War Continues. SWC.
Interesting.
So it's interesting how they're pointing, kind of backhandedly, but at this gaming platform.
Somebody's saying they think S is struck here.
But
possibly.
That very well could be as well. Absolutely. And then Limey could be that Mensch lady, or it could be Steele.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very interesting. So, very interesting theories.
Okay, so they're telling me you're low. Let me see if I can turn you up. Oh, you're right. I need to turn you guys up higher.
Testing.
There you go. There you go.
Can you hear me?
We had a loud music.
No, he's gonna sing.
We had loud music at the end of the last show, so now we got you guys full blast. All right. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, what a cool, and that's what I love about you great patriots out there, letting me know when I'm having to produce this by myself, and I know Shady and know how that goes. It's
a juggling act.
Exactly. Yeah. You guys telling us what thing needs to be adjusted is perfect. So, but this is just amazing to me.
Johnny H is reminding us too that now, because the Star Wars Commander went offline, they took it down. It's gone. And Soros invested in Blizzard, which is Activision.
Yeah.
So they're moving their comms, if you will.
Yeah, and moving them around because they know that they're actually getting they have to continue to change them to these different games because they get nailed, right? And it was real funny, just like the Xbox going down, the PS4 system going down as they were trying to clean it. But we have it all, right? We already gathered the information, then we show it on the keyboard to freak them out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we just now got confirmation that almost all of the major gaming chat rooms are down like this evening after Q called this out, and this whole thing happened with Twitter yesterday.
Really?
I don't know if anybody noticed what happened to Twitter yesterday, but DMs weren't working, analytics wasn't working. You weren't able to send messages the same way. So they implemented something, it seems like yesterday. Then Q dropped the stuff about all of these comms, and now we are seeing gaming chat log outages all across the country on multiple platforms tonight.
And so, but and then I just heard that the World of Warcraft game that they launched number 3, and it was a disaster, right? And because where'd all the money go to help them with their comms, not in really rolling out a good platform, right? So that's interesting stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I thought that I had a like, which one are they gaming on now? So we'll find out, but. It's very interesting how they've done that. And remember, the State of the Union, the first one, Q pointed out that they were on video games, right? McCain was on a video game, admittingly. So these are their and have been their comms. Also, the CIA admitted making card games for CIA agents, too. That's in my thread that I have for today. But just, interesting stuff, guys. It's just... and this goes around the rules, if you will. So, they're not technically breaking any rules if they're in a video game chatting, right?
They're not technically on any government servers or systems or in any what would be surface comms.
Right.
Yeah, I did want to let everybody know about. I wanted to show about where you guys can be found. So Shady Grooove is right here. Truth for Freedom on here. So make sure you are following these guys. For some of these that have, I know that we have a lot of crossover audiences, but for some of my people who don't know these guys, here's where you'll find them. They're on my list of the 60 top patriots as well, but it's at Shady Grooove with 3 O's is there. And then in the Matrix, I had you queued up here, but we were moving everything around, so I know I had you here somewhere.
And yes, it is at InTheMatrixxx 3 X's because 1 X was taken, 2 X's were taken, and I love the Matrix, and I had to do 3. And how interesting is it that Shady had 3 O's and I had 3 X's? That's a lot of hugs and kisses, guys.
Yeah.
And that's what I say this means.
And then I chose my name because 1 and 2 O's was taken.
Exactly. So, everybody's like, oh, XXX, that's bad. Well, you know what? I can make any symbol because I have the power of God within me. I can make any symbol what I want it to mean. I don't have to succumb to their sigils, and their spells. So XXX and OOOs, that's just a lot of love, guys. Much love. And that's what Shady say, and I say a lot. Ooh. Where we go one, we go all. Lots of X's and lots of O's. Much love.
There you go. So make sure you know where that's where we'll find these guys. They also have a show every Monday through Friday, I believe, at 1 p.m. Is that Eastern time?
Yes, sir. 1,300 hours east.
The Matrix Groove Hour, is that still the name of that puppy that's doing really well now?
The show now.
The show? Okay.
Matrix Groove Show.
There is
in an hour.
Yeah, you can't do that in an hour. So
also InTheMatrixxx with 3x's.com, guys. And we have Out of Shadows up there as well, now in 14 languages.
On our website.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Really big. A really big event was that movie, and Mike and Liz and the crew, Brad, they brought so much energy to this movement because so many eyes were opened so fast. It was incredible to watch what happened with that movie taking off and how it is deprogramming people. It literally is deprogramming people.
Yep, I was just going to show real quickly. It is the Matrix Groove Hour, right? Matrix Groove Show.
Yeah, well, you have to do InTheMatrixxx with 3 X's and then hit enter, but we don't auto-populate.
Yeah, you'll have to type every letter.
So in InTheMatrixxx
with 3 X's, if I do that.
Of
course, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Then you'll find it.
There it is. Okay, so
we're that censored, guys.
And this is great, guys. They are massively censored, and in fact, I think you're demonetized completely now. People can't even give you super chats, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
everything away for really no stated violation.
Hey, so I wanted to say for all the people that are Matrix and Groove fans that are here, so I will make sure that that I give them the 75% of all super chats here. So fire away, and I'll get the money to them through some PayPal or some other way. So fire away for Matrix and Shady today. And they'll probably turn mine off here pretty soon. I just got one video removed talking about VACINNES, right? So
oh boy.
Yeah.
I think
it's like we are treading on thin ice right now because we know that the information is starting to get out there and people know the truth. Rick, the reality is most people know the truth.
Right. So awesome stuff. So, hey, and then Gene, I know you're not much into gaming, so that's probably one and only subject that Gene doesn't have massive information on. But any thoughts on what we were talking about with all them using gaming because they lost all their comms?
Yeah, I'm aware of the comms going down with of course, Shady and Groove know Matrix know the Q board with all the Corona and the Big Bird and all of that, and that's the satellites coming down, and that's when they started having to pass notes like at the funeral. They're passing notes like kids in the hallway in school that are bad kids.
That's so funny.
All right. Well, that's good. So let's look here. We have examples of online chats dated May 17th. I see here. And this is Anonymous is talking about, just like you, they go silent during ops. And I think I might be missing the picture here. That's weird because this is this brand new interface. But it's really scary. They were showing some pictures of where literally during the school shootings, the online boards were taken down and weren't working. That's what I think we were seeing here. Is that not right?
Exactly right. Yeah. So we saw that they did the comms, the chat disabled. Very next day there was a shooting. I think it was it Maryland or Virginia? Then there was another one as well. I'm not on my thread, so I might be out of place. But yes, so chat goes down, false flag happens.
Yeah. Now this was 4005. 4006 was POTUS talking about that. This new interface I haven't gotten used to yet. I don't know if you guys are using this one, but it's interesting how it looks like I'm stuck within the tweet. Now here we go. 4006 is the tweet. 4007 gets into Rod Rosenstein, which we just talked about here a second ago. Right now we're into this longer tweet, and this starts getting into the theme of the show, where we're talking. Thank you, Little Red. We'll get that to Shady and Matrix. Here we have this whole thing about the invisible enemy and irregular warfare. That's the summary of it. So I'm going to read this. It says slowly and carefully. I'm going to go real fast here though, because I want to get discussion going on it. There's a full oh my goodness, what's going on here? We've got a full document here that actually shows the U.S. government's insurgency guide. And what's wild about this is it's very detailed about how we take over countries by getting them divided by race, divided by religion, divided by every single way you can, divided by class. And that's what they want, right? And now they are actually getting into they took a little quote out of that insurgency warfare, and they've moved it to actually attack the United States of America. Attack
infiltration.
America. Yeah, crazy
Instead
stuff.
Of invasion, correct.
So let me read this real quick, and I'll have you guys actually. Irregular warfare is far more varied than conventional conflict. Hence, the importance of an intellectual framework that is coherent enough to provide guidance and flexible enough to adapt to circumstances. Maybe I'll just start at each one of these. See how that's adapting. It's adapting to how's the public reacting, right? How's my MK Ultra working on them, right? Just crazy. American counterinsurgency practices rest on a number of assumptions that the decisive effort is rarely military. So it's not military insurgents, although security is essential prerequisite for success, that our efforts must be directed to the creation of local and national government structures that will serve their populations and over time replace the efforts of foreign partners. That superior knowledge and in particular understanding of the human terrain is essential, and that we must have the patience to preserve in what will necessarily prove long struggles. Insurgency, however, can and will flourish in the modern environment. The strains created by globalization, by the collapse of weak state structures, by demographic, environmental, and economic pressures, by the ease of cooperation among insurgent groups and criminals, and by the appearance of destructive radical ideologies, all augur a period in which free and moderate governance is at risk. And in parentheses, I mean, in kill brackets, it says insurgency is the organized use of subversion and violence to seize, nullify, or challenge political control of a region. As such, it is primarily a political struggle in which both sides use armed force to create space for their political, economic, and influence activities to be effective. Insurgency is not always conducted by a single group with a centralized military-style command structure, but may involve a complex matrix of different actors with various aims, loosely connected in dynamic and non-hierarchical networks. To be successful, insurgencies require charismatic leadership, supporters, recruits, supplies, safe havens, and funding, often from illicit activities. Wow, interesting, isn't that? We're talking organ harvesting, human trafficking, drug running. They only need the active support of a few enabling individuals, but a passive acquiescence of a larger proportion of the contested population will give a higher probability of success. This is best achieved with the political cause of the insurgency has strong appeal, manipulating religions, tribal or local identity to exploit common societal grievances or needs. Insurgents seek to gain control populations through the combination of I didn't know this was this long, persuasion, subversion, and coercion, while using guerrilla tactics to offset the strengths of government security forces. Their intent is usually to protract the struggle, exhaust the government, and win sufficient popular support to force capitalization or political capitulation or political accommodation. Consequently, insurgencies evolve through a series of stages. Through the progression and outcome will be different in almost every case. Close bracket. Q. Whew. Guess that's a pretty good description of what Kennedy was saying, huh?
Yeah, that's a mouthful, and that's exactly what's happening, and that's what they've used on us: infiltration rather than invasion. And what was the first couple words of that Q post? I think we can hear what you got queued up right here, right, Rick? Here,
let's listen to this 8-second clip.
Because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics.
Insurgency and irregular warfare from General Flynn himself.
Boom.
And here's another little clip that's 26 seconds. Let's listen to this just real quick.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day.
Wow. There you've got it. From both Mr. Flynn as well as from JFK himself.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
General Flynn tweeted his flag tonight. Did you see that, Rick?
yeah, that was
Pretty cool.
pretty cool too. I think he points to it, doesn't he? I think Q might point to it here in just a second.
Yeah.
Otis retweeted it for sure.
Yeah, the president retweeted it.
Yeah, so I have that here queued up somewhere in these massive things. We'll get to your detailed deal in just a second. I thought we'd just knock these out real quick. So that was the whole, we are in a silent, irregular war against an invisible entity running an insurgency against the USA. This is irregular warfare. And man, do you see it? Just the fact that George Soros got so rich doing this in other countries and then just raping them of all their dollars through currency, inflation, etc. But to get to that point to where he could just bludgeon the country, they had to use all these tactics to get the destabilization and get the popular support, etc. And just look at what happened in all these different countries, such as Venezuela. It's like really scary what happened there.
Well, yeah, and whenever you're trying to explain this to people or break it down or explain it, it's really hard for people to understand that there is really no competition to them. Mm-hmm. And so whenever, it doesn't really matter what system or country or problem that you're talking about, they're pretty much at the center of it, and they're setting it up in a way to where they benefit. So, for example, all of the problems with the drugs coming into America aren't really just people driving to South America and getting on boats and bringing drugs back. It's all controlled. It's all marked. It's all under tariff of the mafia type mentality that's out there, and the whole world is run like that. And this counterinsurgency, they put pen to paper with this, Rick. I mean, this was 2009 when this was put together. This was pretty much them publishing the tactics they've been using for the last couple thousand years on humanity, really, because that's just what they do. They divide. That's what they're good at, is propaganda and division.
Yeah, is that amazing? Gene, I don't know if you had any thoughts on this document about the insurgency document. Very well put together here.
Yeah, we're actually taught about this kind of stuff when I was in the Navy.
Yeah, so you basically can see this is a 60-plus page document detailing exactly how you create division everywhere and use non-military means to destroy a country completely. And we create a document.
Military means.
Yep.
Counter-insurgency, right?
And the black ops, which are secret ops, that's how it's done. And 60-page documents, civilians, 60-page documents big. I've written 6,000-page documents, Rick.
For sure. And, let's look at like General Flynn. He's got the always out front with the, with the key and the lightning bolt, for the intel. So that's the military intelligence branch crest, and they're always out in front, and that kind of reminds me of a lot of Q posts, like 5 steps ahead. You know what I mean, Gene?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So just amazing. That is basically kind of, if you really think mirror now, it's kind of, if you think about it, what we are doing as digital soldiers.
Yes.
For President Trump, and obviously Flynn with the Q Army. We're kind of doing that same thing, Gene, without really even noticing it.
We're counterinsurgency onto the social media controlled platforms.
Correct. Yeah, we're actually God's counterinsurgency.
That too.
Amen to that.
Amen.
And it's like Rick was saying with people were saying that because the seal and the flag is not there, that FEMA took over and it was a coup. This plan has been developed for over 100 years. To think that they hadn't planned out for that long ago, people don't understand Sun Tzu's art of war. They plan for every action, reaction, counter reaction, all the way up. They even plan for people like you and Shady and myself and Rick, when they get to know us through how we write and what we do. It's put in the plan. That binder's huge now.
Wow, it's amazing. I kind of freaked out when I was on Hillary Clinton's top 200 list. So they
like, that's not a good day.
Yeah, obviously I got the attention of the deep state and Clinton. They want me off Twitter.
They do. They want you off completely. But I think just like Trump is protecting certain patriots, I think you might be on the list of keeping you alive. And just the fact that they turned off the algorithm on I see my channel and your channel. I was looking at all the channels, and you and I are growing faster than almost anybody that I can see right now. So congratulations.
Biggest growth we've had, even on my, and you talk about the Twitter account. I've got every Q post, Rick, since February of 2018.
126,000. Woo!
Yeah. Just very blessed to have, and I don't call them followers, I call them patriots.
Yeah. So bunch of patriots there. Look at this.
Do you have the old Mega Q stuff?
From the FBI anon or the pre-Q. I have it. I think I do have a PDF of that, Gene.
Wow, I'd love to have that, because I followed that back since 2014 when it first came on.
Right. Maybe let me just double check. I have a couple of, I have the FBI anon stuff and a couple of others too.
Yeah, because the first time I was out working on my back deck, and God goes, you got to come up and go. And he showed me how to I don't even know how to do it now. I'm techie illiterate. And he showed me how to go into 4chan. I was reading just endless questions. And every day there weren't posts like there are now. It was just more and more questions added into the flow. And I'm like, whoever's doing this has clearance way up there. It's not a lot of people know some of these, even to ask a question like that.
100%. And the questions that we're having here on the Q boards too. I mean, there's a lot of topics to go into, and as you know, I mean, there's so much digging to do. And we, that's why, people kind of tell us, why do you look at, are we going to read old Q posts? Heck yeah, we're going to read old Q posts. You guys are sitting waiting for Q to post, but we're digging and matching the news to the map, because the news unlocks the map, guys. And that's why, Shady and I spend so much time looking at a POTUS tweet or a news item and trying to find out if it connects to the map. And there's so many future proofs past that we've missed. It's incredible. However, this is history, guys. This is history in the making. And Q just let us know that we don't need Q proofs anymore. So that's pretty.
we have thousands of them now. It's like, wow, just on qproofs.com, I send people to a lot. Also, I wanted to get to this other 4009 gets into knowledge is power. This comes back to hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, and how it can actually be very successful against viruses. In fact, it's actually dated all the way back in. This says January to April 20th, but it goes over the last decade of just tons of different studies showing that the MSM attack and the Democratic criminals trying to keep literally okay with people dying and killing our economy versus helping people, we the people, with what actually works. Sad event.
That's right. And then you've got Dr. Tony, up there talking about this new, $1,000 pill where we've got a 10-cent per dose pill that can work. I think the president is just allowing them to fail, because he already knows that the tests are going to fail.
Yeah.
And he's going to try to push for the vaccine. Let me just tell you, I've seen some questions. There was a question that somebody did in the super chat. I don't think the president is very keen on vaccines. I think this is a president personal. P_PERS, personal. This is something that I think affected his family as well. Just saying, I think he knows what vaccine damage does, folks.
Yeah, I think he's letting it play out.
Well, before he was elected, he has tweeted about the
autism.
The alarming rise in autism, and a few other things that he has led into. But I'm kind of theorizing with this compound, the hydroxychloroquine. There is an ancient aspect to this that is pretty compelling, and
it is biblical.
It is biblical, and it goes way back in our history. And the history, as we all know, is really messed up. Like, every timelines are off, and all this stuff is moved around to hide things. But from my initial research, from what I can tell, and I have to be very careful what I'm saying, but it looks like that every debilitating, known, engineered, quote unquote, virus that we've been dealing with for the last, say 100 plus years or so, has been fairly well known what the antidote was before it was introduced. Let's put it that way. And so, you got to understand that these things are reverse engineered from an antidote. And I'm pretty sure at this point that we can tell that this is a very simple compound. It would be very easy to fix one of them if they got infected, and also very easy to keep from all of us with what you see there. I mean, you see all those studies that have done this solid research on hydroxychloroquine, but it's all shelved, just like people that want to do movies that Hollywood doesn't want you to see. They buy your movie and then they stick it on the shelf, and then they're like, "Oh, we bought your movie. We didn't say we were going to make the movie," And so it's kind of like a little bit of that game. That game is to hide the truth so that we kind of carry on. And I think a lot of people are going to be very upset when they realize a 10-cent a dose pill, or 50-cent a dose pill, or a combination of something very inexpensive has been being hid from us intentionally. And
could
we
have saved your aunt, your daughter, your
we go
family.
back to knowingly, right? What's knowingly? They knowingly did this. The AMA has knowingly been doing this. This is a crime against our country of unbelievable proportions.
Now, I know we got some of our audience here too, Rick, but if you want to do a dig, it's the cinchona plant. It's called Jesuit powder. It's from, the Peruvian bark, the loja bark, the chinchilla plant. So this has been fought over for centuries. In the 1900s, they were not wanting to give it to the population there. It's called quinine. So you can drink tonic water, but you got to drink a lot of tonic water to get what you would need to get healthy from it. But this has been fought over for centuries. In fact, It is biblical. So if you guys want to get your shovels out, just do quinine or Jesuit powder or Peruvian bark, and look at the history of it, and then look at the history of people that died and people that resisted giving this to the population. It's been happening over and over and over again. It's pretty interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saying going back to the plague in Europe and the 1920 or 1918 Spanish flu, like it's connected to all of this stuff. And history is a lie, and it's all been hidden from us.
Yeah.
So what I think, what we're showing here is why Q dropped that is because of this, what you're showing here right on the screen today. And, the president is allowing the enemy to expose. Why interfere when they're in the middle of exposing themselves? And the fact, just today, Laura Ingraham did a tweet that he gave $47 million to the WHO. Well, we knew that. Us Anons knew that how long ago, Rick? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, exactly.
So we are the news now. That's why we are being so censored. But I say, do not worry. Do not fear. I have a feeling that hydroxychloroquine is going to end up being the cure, but you see New York is resisting it. Instead, they're killing people with ventilators. We just saw that they're in people in U-Haul trailers now. They're putting everybody in the nursing homes. I mean, guys, we're going to have to wake up here sooner or later.
They're admitting that they took patients that had COVID to the nursing homes now.
Yes, they forced them to accept it.
Yes.
That's just crazy. Hey, Dr. Lights on, LK, thank you so much. I need to add you to my list of, make it 80, and I got beat up by a lot of people. You missed LK. It's like, I'm sorry, I was looking at Twitter accounts, but anyway, sorry, LK. Hey, Gene,
LK_light on Twitter. LK_light.
Yeah, this is an expert, by the way. Gene's an expert in medicine, and as far as MMS that we have backstage as well, that we give a lot of details on, as well as the 1 minute cure with hydrogen peroxide cleanse. And so, Gene, you want to summarize a little bit about how that relates to this?
Yeah, all of them, what they're doing is providing a high oxygenation potential, which is an electric potential within the body, and the viruses, as well as all parasites, function in a reverse mode to symbiocytes. They take and they don't give, just like a lot of people that are in the cabal that we know. They're all takers, they don't share.
So that's interesting, because I saw a video of somebody that's a nurse practitioner, and their friend was a nurse, and somebody 35 complaining of a little breathing issue, but you were able to talk, and their pulse ox is 90 to 92, and this man of 35 that seems somewhat healthy ends up getting put on a ventilator. Is that to up the pulse ox so the virus can grow?
Yeah, that's how they do it. And wow. The hydrogen peroxide, ozone therapy, MMS, chloroquine, and that's been around for a very, very long time. And it's very, very inexpensive. But of course, the big pharma and all the AMA and all of that, they don't want their trillions of dollars cut into. It's very simple to treat those things. Yeah, and of course, if you read Congressional Budget Section 5, 1970, when they made and funded for the creation of AIDS in the first place, they're not going to create something that could extinguish them without having a cure before they do it, just like you mentioned.
Yep, that's exactly what that's exactly what it's looking like, and that's what history, I think, is going to tell us. And I think that's going to be a big red pill for the Great Awakening. Once people start to see this, once they start to see the news is fake, then they're going to start looking for other information, because the news has been agreeing with the medical association since any of us can remember. When did they ever disagree? They don't.
Yeah. That's part of the whole scheme.
Yes, yeah, and it's like you said that not only does future proof past, but past proves future. If you can't learn from the past, you're going to repeat it. That's why it's important to read the Q board and understand the complexities, because, for example, I've never decoded but one layer of CQ on the Q board, where it said CQ, which chloroquine, of course, but there's almost everything in the Q board ties to many other things on the board as well as off the board. And so there's many, many, many layers. So, for example, Rick's got up right now 4009, the CHQ. That has layers of coding. That's why you also see HCQ. It does mean hydrochloroquine as well as chloroquine, but it has many layers of meanings.
Yeah, he even had that hill with the music he put on. Hill, something with the C, clear your mind, heal, and then Q in one of the posts, right?
Well, and also that the picture in that video was that was the emblem for one of the major companies in India that produce hydroxychloroquine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like that picture of the meditating wheel that we saw, that was like, the little clip that Q dropped. That is the exact design of, I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that was in India, right? Matrix, am I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pharmaceuticals. Their logo looks just like the.
It almost looks exactly like the emblem there.
Yeah, the emblem of of Q when he posted the music, and that Tesla, the 369.
And so shape. We look at the stuff with India, and the president was just in India right before all this stuff happening. You think he wasn't fixing all of this then? Why? There's a lot of layers to this. Like you said, this is a massive plan. I mean, I would give, I don't know what, to be able to be on the inside looking at this plan, man. I tell you what, this is incredible.
Yeah, indeed it is. And, just for the military types, most of the military will recognize HCQ.
For what?
Headquarters command.
What command?
Headquarters command.
Yeah.
HCQ.
Yeah, and there was that movie, or excuse me, the video too, and Q had HCQ, and it was G, so GHCQ. Also, it could have referred to as well, which is Five Eyes, right? GHCQ.
The five eyes. Woo. Yep. Irregular warfare. We're seeing it right before our eyes play out, and we have another dig a little bit to kind of go back to some of the entire. We have Flynn being freed, which we could talk about forever, but I think we're going to get a lot more information here pretty soon on that, right? It's going to be awesome to see with Flynn with the flags and all that. But I wanted to make sure we got to at least the whole Schumer / Treasury / Fed. I know Gene's into the financial reset. Would love to get your thinking on that.
Yeah, so this one here is the heads are exploding because they want Trump's name off the stimulus checks. And there's a reason for that. And in fact, if you click on that thread reader app right there, and then go to the Twitter. Remember how we did that?
Yeah.
And then click the blue bird. And if we recall, Iron Belly was actually Q'd. And the Q said, Q pointed to this. It says, the scheme essentially merges the Fed and the Treasury into one organization. So I'm looking at that picture with the red box. So meet your new Fed chairman, Donald J. Trump, right? That was a Q from Iron Belly. And that's the name of the article. Where have you heard that for? So that didn't show up in the Q post. So I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Our president keeps saying that. The Fed's cure risks being worse than the disease. How many times have you guys heard that being said in the last week, guys?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right.
Okay. So if you look at that, cure worse than the disease, Trump pundits would ease virus restriction. So Shady and then I do link to the tweet from 322. Gene, that's a number, right?
Oh, yeah.
322. And it says, we cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself at the end of the 15-day period. Now, what happens on April 15th?
Taxes.
Right. So that's what that's what I think this 322 day is, right? 15-day period. We'll make a decision as to which way we want to go. So then you can cruise down to the next one. And this actually should have been the shot heard around the world. The next tweet down there. This should actually, show thread. This should actually be the shot heard around the world because this was 4/19, the start of the Revolutionary War, but 2018. Federal Reserve ending, and on asks structure. Q. Interesting, right? And then you can cruise down to the next tweet. Shady, we can take people through the history of the Treasury real quick.
Yeah, and so for people that maybe don't understand that we didn't initiate our republic until we established a treasury. So before the treasury here in America was established among the colonists as a prelude to the revolution, that was an act of war. Us establishing a treasury outside of the monarchy, quote unquote, or the rulers, was an act of war. And so that treasury was what we were protecting. That treasury was why it said in the Constitution that you should never have any coin be minted of never any paper administered. Everything has to be backed by gold and silver. And so those demands were very specific as rules for the Treasury to have sound money. And since the onset of the bank, the Federal Reserve in 1913, they have been removing power from the Treasury. They did it very slowly at first, and then the Great Depression hit, and then the war hit, and then all the 60s stuff hit.
It was like a plague, Shady.
Right, just like a divisive
It was like an invisible enemy, wasn't it?
And by 1971, they had completed off the gold standards and stuck to oil. And right now, what we think we're seeing is all this money that the president has just moved.
Wait, we're going to go into that. Yeah.
Right. But here now, the Treasury is your Constitution. It represents your country.
So why was the Treasury put in place? It was for the Continental Congress in Philadelphia to finance the war against Great Britain. Now, we can cross off Great Britain and put the United States of America and Body Politic Trust that is owned by the Pesos. So that's why. And by the way, Congress issued $2 million in bills to citizens, guys. What's happening right now?
Getting paid from the Rothschilds.
That's right. So here we go.
That's right. Taking it back.
And then the next post basically down below is, do we have the gold? Yes, gold shall destroy the Fed. So obviously we have the gold. Let me see. This is important too, because this is a Fed pick. Our president has a Fed pick, and this newest Fed pick, and her name is Judy Shelton. She was the executive director of European Bank of Reconstruction and Development. And guess what she likes, guys? She likes the gold standard. Next one down right there.
Gold.
She likes gold like we do.
She likes gold, guys. So gold shall destroy the Fed. The gold standard will destroy. Now let's just, Shady, I'm going to let you take this one because this is right up your alley. You found this. But basically, our president is doing everything that he's supposed to be doing in his constitutional power. If you want to go to the next one after this, our president is supposed to deal with the military, the border, international trade deals to make the U.S. money, and also intercontinental trade disputes within the states if he needs to step in. That's exactly what you see him doing today. And so what has our president done for our country, Shady?
He has started collecting tariffs.
Woo!
That's right.
Before we didn't have income tax back then when we had tariffs, right?
That's right. And so whenever you go, you can do a real simple Wikipedia search. You can go do your research, do a little bit of type in tariffs. And what you'll really quickly learn is that your country was founded upon the goods of people who wanted to sell things to us. Okay? We had to charge tariffs to run our government. That's the way we established a republic. That's the way that we established a republic without a burden being placed on the people. We didn't want a burden being placed on the people because that was called taxes, and we didn't like that word. Somehow we've been conditioned to be okay with taxes again. But at one point in our history, we didn't want any taxes. And so that was the way that they decided. It was part of the brilliance of the way your country was founded, and part of the reason it lasted for as long as it did before the central bank was actually able to, after the third try, create the Fed, which is, as you mostly know, an organization that's outside of the realm of your government. It says Federal Reserve, but it's not part of the federal government. And
I'm Federal Matrix, so I must be federal.
Yes, you're Federal Matrix. And so you're now the government.
That's right. So go ahead and cruise down to the one where it says normally the Fed gives the updates on the economy. So basically, I think it was Tuesday-ish, or I don't even know what day it is. They all meld together. But Mnuchin came and told you about the economy and says that we're really going to bounce back in May or June. So, normally we would have Powell come out and say this stuff. Go to the next one down. And then we're going to go to the next one down after that. So this is where it comes into reality, folks. Let's bring this down to where did we get the $6 trillion in the first stimulus? Remember, it was $2 trillion, but Kudlow said that it was 6. So go ahead and open that up right there that you have your mouse on right there. So there it is, guys. This was my theory back in April 2nd. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this where we're getting the $6 trillion from? So if you look at the House of Saudis, that's $4 trillion. you look at the Rothschilds, that's 2 trillion. Huh, interesting. And then keep in mind 1 trillion for Soros. So let's go to the next picture.
That's right here in the deco, right there.
Yep, you see that right there? There's your numbers right there. Then remember, where's the next picture?
Sorry, there it
There it
goes.
is. So you have to remember 11 days before Q started, 10 days before Q started, 10 days, George Soros gave away almost 80% of his wealth to charity, right? So over in
Oops.
the Q post,
Sorry about that.
it's all good. But he gave away 80% of his wealth. And that's why the coronavirus, the last one, was 484 billion, if you want to go to the next picture.
Wow, that's crazy.
So and why were they resisting so much, guys? Because they didn't want to give it up, okay? And then if you go to the next picture, this is the first stimulus in March 24th. Kudlow predicts coronavirus aid package to reach roughly 6 trillion. And we had before this one was, so I want to make it clear, before this 484 was done, POTUS was already saying 6 trillion, okay? So this is where we got our money. And if you go back to the Q post 133, I believe it is, hard to swallow, important to progress. Who are the puppet masters? House of Saud, 4 trillion. Rothschild, 2 trillion. Soros, 1 trillion. All that money came from the Fed into your treasury, your bank.
At least it's going to here really soon, right? They're going to get.
It's in there. That's why it's already in there. That's where they put it. Once that's signed, that got put into the treasury.
Notice that's why you're now getting a check signed by Donald Trump as opposed to some random person at the Fed.
Yep, go to the next one, and then
Oh boy, and they hate that, don't they?
Yeah, is this why the
mad
media
about that,
heads,
Rick?
is this why the media heads exploded when he signed the checks to the stimulus?
Could
You
hear
got to
their
realize.
heads exploding.
So let's take it one further.
I love that picture.
Yeah, let's take it one further too, because and then we have Schumer. You know, if you click back to the original tweet that it came in, Schumer wants to keep Trump's name off future stimulus checks. Because
that's this right here, right?
Well, the original tweet that we came from.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But basically, he's a Federal Reserve stooge, folks.
Right.
So we take that one further. We look at the companies that are getting monies, right? All the
I'm
big
getting to
companies.
Where was Schumer? I know he was here.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go back, hit back, I think.
Sorry, was that the thread? Right here,
that
right?
was the thread. So you have to go back.
Okay.
No.
And another thing, Shady, and Matrix, that people don't realize is as of October 13th, the Fed was rolled into the Treasury. But not only that they started buying the Treasury notes to pay back their loans at $1 trillion a day, and they've been doing that every day. So once they become insolvent, they're gone. But they're using their gold that they stole from us to buy those T-bills, putting their gold back into our treasury at the same rate, $1 trillion a day.
And that's a good point too, because you know how our Treasury Secretary, Gene, was mitigating the bankruptcy from the Federal Reserve from the United States, right? Now the BlackRock is the one doing it. They're mitigating the bankruptcy, which is very interesting. But I want to also bring you to this. How do you fix a bridge without closing it down? Remember the term bridge loans that you've been hearing, right? Mm-hmm. Those bridge loans, that was a link to a tweet. So you hit the back button on your browser, and I think you'll get to it, Rick.
Okay.
Yep.
One more.
Maybe one more. And so the bridge loans are going to be given to GM. So GM is the original Pacer company, right? We've got, the 3M, all of these companies, GM, all of them are going to get loans from the president. However, they're going to pay it back to the Treasury, not to the Federal Reserve. That's how you fix a bridge without taking it down. And if you don't come with us, he's going to use his presidential powers, the P powers, because that post that says, mess with the best, die like the rest. And that's from your original P, who is Paysur post. And now, Rick, real quick. So just, you haven't been able to find it. Go to my actually homepage, and it's right on top. I want you to go to that tweet that's right on top because I retweeted it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Go to my homepage and hit that love of trains.
Hit what?
You know that the Pacer is not their
Just go
real
down.
name, right?
Below his pinned tweet there.
Go down right there.
Right here.
Keep going. Go down. Go
Okay.
down. Go
There you
down. Go down. One more. One more. After this one.
Here it
After
is.
This one.
Okay.
Go down. Hit Love of Trains.
Love of Trains.
Yeah, Pesor is a Merovingian bloodline name. That's correct.
Yep, it just means the mister that pays you.
Exactly. Pesor.
Hey, sir. That's
Exactly.
correct.
And those are your handouts around the Vaticans, right?
Yes, indeed.
Pacer.
So the love of trains, because the Pesor companies, the Charleston, Cincinnati, and Chicago Railroad companies, the parent of the Federal Reserve here in the United States. In fact, Nixon spent years trying to take that name out of the congressional record. Interesting, right? Go ahead and play that Carly video and listen for the word train.
And where's the Carly video?
Click it.
Just right here. Okay. Hi. Okay, here we are.
There we go.
In the White House, what the next meeting in the Situation Room was going to be. But we also talked about our families, and we talked about his love of trains.
Trains, right there.
We also talked about our families,
And everybody's
we
all like,
talked
oh, he
about
said
his
ice
love
cream,
of
and they're worried about
trains,
ice cream,
and
but it's trains.
his
Those
love
were the
of ice-
comms to the Fed. These people are loyal to the New World Order, the Federal Reserve, the crap that, and they're mad that our president took their money and put it into your bank, guys. Shady, what do you think?
They are, and it's really starting to escalate now because a lot of them, you have to understand that this stuff is compartmentalized on the ground. Like, let's be honest here, Hillary's a puppet. They're all a puppet, right? Each of them have their own compartmentalizations, and each of them control X amount of the other of them, but there's a hierarchy. And so that's compartmentalized in two ways. Number one, it's compartmentalized in their control system, so one person doesn't know what the other person is doing. But it's compartmentalized in the reverse as this stuff is starting to come at them. Because if you notice, Fauci and Briggs and all of these players are even some of the rhinos out there still going along with some of these narratives that we know are completely false, like, Russian collusion or whatever. But the reality of the situation is they don't really see how many people have been woken up. They think they're still talking to sheep. And there's a lot of people out there that know that the jig is up, the curtain is open, and the wizard hadn't turned around to look behind him yet.
Yep, and just to that's great, well said. Just to reiterate that iron belly cue that says R.I.P. Federal Reserve that goes to the tweet, the saying that Donald Trump uses, don't let the problem or cure be worse than the problem, is the Federal Reserve. And it says that our president is now the new federal chairman, reserve chairman. He's the new Fed chairman. So people understand the chair serves the master. Who is the master? P equals C. We have our Trump in control of the United States of America and Body Politic Trust. Boom. That's Q Post 998. For all of those that don't know what P equals C and what the chair means, the chair is the Federal Reserve, guys. And that's really what I want to say. That also Q Post 1970 did confirm some of the research that we did, and also our president said, "Great job done being by Bank of America and many community banks throughout the country. Small businesses appreciate your work." If you don't know that the Charleston, Cincinnati, Chicago Railroad are the parent to the Federal Reserve, privately owned central bank, as Shady and I pointed out, and you guys already knew that too. But the Pesor Empire became heavily involved in banking. Their Bank of Lancaster became North Carolina Bank, then Nations Bank, the biggest bank in Texas, InterFirst, of which George Bush was director and merged in 1987 with Republic Bank. Remember the savings and loan scandal? That merged with in 1987 with Republic Bank to form First Republic, and that later was absorbed by Nations Bank, which then became Bank of America. Boom. Your president is in control. What do you think, Gene? Thoughts from you?
Yeah, the Bank of America used to be the Little Bank of Italy, otherwise known as the Mafia.
Yes.
And, yep.
And that's where they were laundering, that's where they were laundering all of this stuff through. Like, each of these organizations have what we understand, especially if you understand UCC in law or your relevance to sovereignty and a slave, but they have two sets of books. They have the set of books for the people they really have to pay, and then they have the set of books where they just make money up and pretend like they have money and push it around on paper. There's two complete different sets of books here, and what the president is doing is he's kind of flipping it on them, and he's going to leave them holding the fiat currency.
Absolutely. That's it. Well said.
Yeah, and if you look at the code speak they're using there with train and ice cream, of course, the ice cream is referring to their child trafficking,
Yes,
and the
sir.
train has several meanings. That means they're trained as well as entrainment when you train, as
Yes.
well as many other layers.
Yes, and that could be some sort of like code, obviously for that. Also, I want to. I don't know if you saw our 1917 dig, Gene, that leads to the tunnel war of Messene,
Yeah.
and I wanted you to check that out. The tunnel war of Messene was in 1917. It ends on POTUS's birthday, which is in a Q post as well, and it was a war that was fought. I think it started in April. Yeah, April 6th, basically, when all this kind of went down. And there was a war. And what happened was the British troops went over with, when do you call a plumber? With Plumer, and set up charges to make the biggest non-nuclear explosion that ever was seen. Moab, non-nuclear, DEFCON 1, non-nuclear. And after that, there was, and also who were in these tunnels. It said that they killed 10,000 Germans, but as we know, the Germans soldiers were children back then, and also that there was 300,000 people died from typhus, which is the forgotten virus that people forget about, and also that tunnel war. If you Google tunnel war 1917, you'll find it on Wikipedia. You'll find plumber. You'll find the non-nuclear right away. And then they had this thing about the tunnels had timber for the structure, right? And we've heard timber a lot. Also, if you Google Jeb Bush and timber, before he ran for president, he had to quit a timber company, guys. So now, in my opinion, in Shady's opinion, we think it's concrete is now the new structure instead of timber. But interestingly enough, the JFK kids, sang timber. JFK, Kennedy lost their lives. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, Gene, and thought you'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. Also, you're aware of the train that was moving from Berlin to Moscow to fund the Russian Revolution that went in a tunnel, and they took off $18 million in gold bullion. It was 150 million, and that went missing, and that's part of that tunnel war.
Yeah, they keep pretending like it ended up in the tunnel.
Yeah.
That video you had, Rick, that video you had started basically about 44 on, if you guys want to see that tunnel dig on the video up above that you had.
So it's about 44 minutes here.
Yeah, 44 minutes in. If you guys want to, the one that you're, the one above that, there it is. Yeah, that one. If you go about 44 minutes in, that's where we start talking
You're never going to see this. Like I've had some commanders tell me. You're very wrong.
Gene, if you want to check it out, much pleasure. I didn't do anything on Twitter about it, but I was like, I can't wait to tell Gene about the Battle of Messene. So do Tunnel War 1917, Gene, and you'll find everything you need.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And you've been doing a great job, sir. Thank you very much for all that you've been doing, guys. Wow.
Yeah, you guys are awesome too.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
your
you.
show.
And let's press 17 if you guys are enjoying this show. I'm very honored. Shady and I are honored to be here today. We will be on live tomorrow at 1 p.m., 1300 hours Eastern. You have to type in the Matrix, all letters, and then hit enter before you see us. And then tell them that Rick and Gene sent you if you guys come in tomorrow and check us out.
Yeah, for sure. So 1 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday, weekday, 1 o'clock, the Matrix Groove show. I'm getting updated on things here. So,
I guess that. And then Shady. Hopefully he'll do a Q Lounge live.
We'll claim either one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, one thing we just have to just leave with though is the Flynn news, right? And so I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on that just real quick, just to think about what is going on with the exoneration of Mr. Flynn. I think I had something here. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I could jump right in real quick and say that, all this whole thing is sort of predicated on this case with General Flynn. If you've been paying attention to the Q map, you've seen the post where Q talks about that other evidence were being used for the grand jury because Flynn took the rubber bullet and know what happened with his family. And all the stuff with him trying to frame his family or saying they're going to set his family up and charge his son, and all these different things are going on. But today in the news, it is actually in the mainstream news today that the Page, Strzok, Comey, McCabe debacle was right there where they're telling Priestep is telling them to go in. And what is the mission here? Is the mission here to get him to lie or to get him fired? Okay. And so all these people in the media who have been writing stories and running this narrative that General Flynn was a traitor, and all of this different narratives that they've had against him have pretty much melted into the sand today. And we are seeing a full-fledged media blackout. If you were to go to CNN, if you were to go to Drudge Report, if you go to MSNBC right now websites, there is not one story about this mind-numbing abuse of power that we are witnessing within the FBI towards General Flynn. And I would just like to remind everyone, if this group can do something like this to a 3-star general and an elected president of the United States, I implore that we've got some foxes in the hen house, and we got to start holding accountable people in other jurisdictions. Now, we know that the DOJ and the FBI have been largely cleaned out from all of the resignations and firing stuff. But what you don't really think about is that this pyramid scheme structure trickled down to lots and lots of other municipalities and governments. So what we have to start doing is analyzing our municipalities and governments for fraud that looks very similar to this. In other words, people getting railroaded in court, being told things that weren't true by lawyers. All of these different things are illegal. And if they've happened to you, I'm sure that the current investigative team up there with Bill Barr would love to hear your story now. And that's part of what I think the president meant whenever he told us, or Q meant, when he told us early on that we were going to need to get loud and start kind of defending ourselves a little bit.
Interesting.
And I think too that Flynn will open and expose everybody else too. So this is like D5 happening.
Drip turns to flood.
Yeah, it will be a flood, because if the FISA was illegal against Flynn, then you're going to find that it's illegal against everybody else up to and including the president, Cruz, everybody else. So wow. And I think we needed to get Flynn exonerated before we got
a D class.
Yeah, D class, in my opinion. And I know we got to get the C before D too. So things are ramping up quick. I think we're going to hear from Durham here. You know, springtime gets hot. Summertime starts getting hot, doesn't it, Rick?
That's exactly right. And here's the actual handwriting from there saying truth admission, or to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired. It was a complete
lie or admit to Logan Act. Yeah.
Completely a setup. Is that just not amazing?
And you know, these notes were from a few days before they actually interviewed him. So, you know, we're talking over 3 years ago, guys. I mean, this is every bit of energy by the mainstream media to go after your president on a Russian collusion narrative was all bogus. Not some, all. Every bit of it made up to justify losing the election in 2016.
So, Gene, just some final thoughts from a military perspective, just to know that this framing is going on.
Yeah, that's how they always do it. We have a term which S something something T. When you want to keep your people out of the limelight, you want to not be the highest nail standing, so you're going to throw it to the other side so that it looks like they're the ones messing up. When I was in the ship, they actually calls it, you know, AS something something T screen, so that you make another division or group look bad so that they don't pay attention to you. Just like, you know, Shady and Groove know that, and Matrix know that in the queue, it's not about Trump. It's about you. They don't want you to look at them.
100%.
Put our guns at the cabal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they've been doing. Like, you know, look here, Russia, not China. The House has been trying to impeach him about what? Russia, Russia, Russia. Meanwhile, China is engineering a disease to kill us.
And Biden and the Democrat nominee for president of the United States is videotaped on stage saying China's not out to eat our lunch. They're good folks. Like, okay, brother. Like, you might want to go back
As
for
he bites the cheek of a child, right?
Come on, man. It's only 1.5 billion.
Come on.
Look,
Don't
Jack.
look at where's Hunter?
I think we're going to see some justice, but I think we're going to see some shenanigans at the convention for the Democrat convention. There's going to be some major shenanigans. And by the way, if you go to Google where the convention is, it kind of looks like Donald Trump's hair.
Dude, I just saw that. It does look like Donald Trump.
It does. You can't make it up. The NC convention, where it's being held. Look at the video, or look at the building. It looks like Donald Trump's hair.
Wow. Hey guys, we went way over an hour, and I really appreciate you.
Gosh.
So we're gonna have to. That's why we don't have this name, the Blessed to Teach Hour either. So.
See, thank you.
Yeah. So ever since Gene got on, man, we're doing some the dumbs decos that go really late. But I really appreciate you guys. I know, and then one thing I just want to come back to the all the thing just real quick to address that, because I was with you guys from the whole time from that, is that this is a where we go one, we go all movement, where we need to unite with people of all faiths. That's one way they want to divide us, is by religion, by class, by party, by every male and female, every way possible. And again, the gospel grows the best when we have freedom of religion. We're fighting for the freedom of religion in the Constitution that will allow us to be able to share our faith without being persecuted. So, all right. But I did want to pray, if you don't mind. And it's this show, a lot of people come and they love the prayer at the end. And
thank you, Rick.
Yeah. So
absolutely. I'm a God-loving Christian, my friend. So I had nothing to do with the wrap-up smear that was perpetrated against me.
Yeah, I understand that too. So, and I don't know, Jeff. Jeff, do you mind saying just a quick little prayer and I'll end it, or do you feel comfortable with that, or would I have Gene do that?
I really like to hear Gene, because I want to get on bended knee here with him.
All right, that sounds great. So, Gene, will you start and I'll finish her up?
Okay. Say I hate hearing my voice though.
No, you're awesome. We love it. We all love it.
In the name of the one true God of all love, light, compassion, and creation, and His divine Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, we ask you to lift us all up in discernment and truth. Protect Shady, protect Matrix, keep them in safety and out of the way of harm. Give us all the great discernment that they show through their amazing tweets and their amazing threads. Give us all that knowledge and understanding. Keep Rick and his family safe, and heal him from running backwards and falling and scraping, and teach him how to run backwards and see your light.
And threw you under the bus there.
We love your humor, God. We have to make Rick laugh. And give us all your humor and all your love and all your power and all your truth. We're seeing your power visited upon the earth, and the children coming up from underground from the terrible destructions that have been visited upon them by these minions of Satan that never seem to end, that think they're in the truth and they're in the power with their false God. Lift up all of those patriots that are hearing my voice now, and bring them your safety and your truth, and their families, and your great healing from the evils of the false vaccinations that are supposedly curing us while they're making us ill, taking our children, taking our loved ones from us. We humbly ask of you all of these prayers in the name of the one true living God of all love, light, compassion, and creation, the divine Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. As it is said, thus it shall be done, and sealed now and for all time.
Awesome, Gene. Just let me continue a little quick. And I just thank you so much, Lord, for the knowledge and the passion that you've given Shady and Matrix here, and the show that they've given that is just one of the best online, especially when it comes to really looking back at the future proves past. What is this Q movement about? Lord, may more people come to know this truth, and also know the truth about who you are, Lord. Give us that freedom of religion, not only in America, but worldwide. In all these countries that don't have that freedom of religion, we just pray that that spreads everywhere, Lord, that the Patriot movement, that this movement that we're seeing is not just in America, but heal our land, Lord. We just repent for the abortions. We repent for turning our back and not doing things we should be doing. We repent for our individual sins. But Lord, we know that this is the time for faith and not fear. And this is the time for the peace that transcends all understanding. You talk about Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Where we don't have to be anxious about anything. In every situation, we just bring it to you with thanksgiving, and you will give us the peace that transcends all understanding. May we exercise that faith as we see this cabal go down, and we see that where we want to go, we go on movement, not only restore our liberties, but also restore the ability to worship you in all countries. And we say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Awesome, guys. I am such a privilege. What brain power we had in this room with Gene, Shady, and Matrix. I just was wondering if I was going to have a fuse blow or something. It was like, wow.
I tell you, Gene, thank you for that wonderful. I love your prayers. I love your prayers too, Rick. Amy and Lou out there, you guys are amazing. Thank you very much for your hospitality, guys. And the mutual respect is mutual. And I appreciate that. And yes, we've been through a lot. And you've been there for us too, Rick, and I do really hold you in high regards for that.
I appreciate it. Let's just make sure if we can more and more of the Patriots, any of you guys listening, let's point our guns at the cabal and not each other. We can do so much together. It's going to be
Press
a fun
17,
time.
Guys. If you guys love this show, please. Thank you very much. I want to see all the 17s, Rick. Let's
Thank you
check them out.
so much, Rick. I really appreciate the opportunity to come hang out again. Let's do it again soon.
That sounds awesome, guys. One of these days, I'll take some time off. I know I work during the day, so I haven't been able to come on your show, but love to do that at a point in some time when it makes sense.
Get you on there for a roundtable anytime.
You better.
I guess the Friday night roundtable, is that what you have? So that's right. Is that what you're talking about? Is that at Friday nights?
Well, whenever we do the roundtables during the day, I was saying.
Oh, okay. You're just saying, yeah. Okay, yeah. That sounds like a plan. All right. Hey, with that, guys, just want to say thank you so much. Again, keep the faith. Make sure you share the truth with impact. Love you guys. We'll talk to you next time. You've just listened to the Blessed Teach Show. You're now empowered with the truth. Don't miss the edited. Stay on Shady and Matrix. Just about 45-second close. On a new channel called B2T Clips. A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and PayPal. You are truly appreciated. For the links to these sites, as well as links for show notes, backstage with Blessed to Teach, training courses, and more, visit blessedtoteach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless, and be sure to go empower others with the truth.